Travel experiences can be very different, ranging from pleasant surprises to unexpected problems. People's reactions to travelers can have a big effect on their trip. Interactions between tourists and locals are usually pleasant and educational, but sometimes tourists may not feel welcome. In this exciting video, we're going to look into the top 10 rudest countries of the world and their cultural differences from other countries, where tourists may find locals to be rude or strict. 1. France. People from France are more likely than people from other cultures to be open and honest when they talk to each other. They respect honesty and won't sugarcoat their thoughts or criticisms when they say them. If you're used to talking more indirectly, this directness might seem rude to some people. French society puts a lot of value on private and personal space. People who don't know each other tend to be more quiet and formal, and a polite welcome is the rule. People from countries that value warmth and openness towards strangers might see this as cold or unfriendly. Customer service expectations. In places like the US, customer service is often very important, and workers and service providers will go out of their way to make sure customers are happy. Customer service in France may be more focused on getting the job done quickly and well. If you compare service situations, this difference in how people do things can make you think they are being rude. 2. The UK. Bristol, Hull, and Coventry are the three nation's rudest towns. In the UK, people who are busy with their phones, loud in public, or not paying attention to strangers are the most common rude actions. The cities of Bristol and Hull did the worst in terms of 4 common rude habits. Based on what we found, Sheffield is the nicest place. The people of Liverpool are known for being very kind. Bristol is the most unwelcoming city in the UK. On the other hand, Banksy's hometown is known as one of the most progressive towns in Britain, which may help explain why it came in first place. Naturally, you'd think that people who are forward-thinking and support equality would be polite, and maybe they still are. Some people may be more sensitive to rude behavior and more critical of themselves when answering our questions, which could explain the score. 3. Germany. Germany probably doesn't have a reputation for being the nicest or happiest country in the world. According to common stereotypes, Germans are blunt, which can easily turn into arrogance, very structured, not funny at all, and speak a language that sounds so hostile that politely asking for a ham sandwich sounds like a clear order to attack. In German society, being on time, working efficiently, and talking directly are all important. What someone from one society might think is rude or unwelcoming, someone from another might just see it as being honest. It can be hard for tourists to talk to people, especially if they need to learn German. This could cause confusion or the impression that someone is cold. In places that get a lot of tourists, locals may get tired of dealing with all the people, which could make exchanges less energetic. 4. Italy. As with many other cultures, Italian culture has its own rules and traditions. In one society, something that is seen as normal actions might mean something different in another. For instance, Italians might have different ideas about personal space, how to meet others, and how to connect with others. In places like Rome, Venice, and Florence, which are famous with tourists, the sheer number of tourists can make locals feel relaxed and satisfied. People can misunderstand each other, which can make them seem unfriendly. Visitors might think they should be more relaxed if they expect them to respect historical places, landmarks, and local practices. If you're going to Italy, remember that you should be more open-minded and learn about other cultures, as some of our traditions are easy to get wrong. 5. Egypt. Egypt has its own rules and traditions that may be different from those of guests' home countries. For instance, guests may have different ideas about how to read social relationships, body language, and communication styles. When there are a lot of people in a place like Cairo, Luxor, or Aswan, the locals may feel stressed. There are times when this could make you tense or irritable. When tourists don't speak Arabic and locals don't speak English or other languages that tourists often speak, it can be hard to communicate. It can be frustrating when people don't understand each other because of language obstacles. Sadly, there may be scams or pushy sales methods aimed at tourists, just like in many other tourist spots. When tourists meet people who act in this way, it can make them think less of the locals' friendliness. 6. Switzerland. On-time arrival, speed, and secrecy are important in Swiss society. For outsiders, what seems like strictness or aloofness might just be following these cultural rules. Swiss people may also be less outgoing than guests from other countries when it comes to making friends. German, French, Italian, and Romansh are all official languages in Switzerland. When guests don't know one of these languages, it can be hard to communicate, and locals may need to improve in English or other tourist languages. Prices for goods and services may seem high to guests because Switzerland is known for having a high cost of living. If tourists think they are being taken advantage of, or can't afford certain things, this could make people think they are being unwelcoming. In places like Zurich, Geneva, and Interlaken, which are popular with tourists, the number of people can make locals feel stressed. 7. Austria. Austrian culture has its own norms and customs that may differ from those of tourist home countries. For example, Austrians may have a more reserved demeanor or value punctuality and orderliness, which could be misinterpreted by tourists. Communication challenges can arise when tourists don't speak German, the primary language of Austria. While many Austrians speak English or other languages commonly spoken by tourists, there may still be instances where language barriers contribute to misunderstandings or frustrations. In popular tourist destinations, such as Vienna, Salzburg, or Innsbruck, locals may sometimes feel overwhelmed by the influx of visitors, especially during peak tourist seasons. This can lead to stress or impatience, which tourists may perceive as unwelcoming behavior. 8. Puerto Rico. When there are a lot of tourists in a place like San Juan or Rincon, people may feel stressed, especially during busy tourist times. This could make people tense or impatient, which tourists might see as rude behavior. Puerto Rico has had economic problems in the past few years, including after natural disasters like Hurricane Maria. The Puerto Rican people are very strong, but these problems may cause them to be irritable or angry, which outsiders might see as rude. Just like as in any other place, guests may come across people who are having a bad day or acting in a way that doesn't reflect the vast majority of people there. These kinds of things can make people feel bad. 9. Greece. Tourists and locals may mistakenly think that someone is being rude when they are actually just misinterpreting a culture or having different standards. For instance, tourists might need to learn Greek social norms or habits, which could cause them to break the rules without meaning to. People who live in places like Athens, Santorini, or Mykonos may feel overwhelmed by the number of tourists, especially during busy tourist seasons. This could make people tense or impatient, which tourists might see as rude behavior. Greece has had problems with its economy in recent years, which may make some people angry or upset. Different economic situations or worries about how tourism affects local communities may change how people deal with guests. 10. Sweden. Some tourists may find that Swedish society has rules and traditions that are different from those in their home countries. As an example, Swedes may value their own space and privacy, which visitors might take as cold or unwelcoming behavior. Tourists who need to learn Swedish, which is the main language in Sweden, may find it hard to communicate. Even though a lot of Swedes speak English very well, language hurdles can still make things confusing or frustrating. Swedish society may have different rules about how to connect with others than the home countries of tourists. For example, Swedes might be quieter in public or not want to make small talk with strangers, which foreigners might think is rude. Exploring other cultures and experiences via travel is rewarding. Warmth and friendliness are the norm in most places, although cultural variations and social conventions may lead to rudeness or strictness. Travelers may gracefully appreciate the variety of our world by encouraging tolerance, respecting cultural differences, and keeping an open mind.